Napoleon Bonaparte, a name synonymous with ambition, military genius, and ultimately defeat. From his humble beginnings on Corsica to his coronation as Emperor of France, Napoleon's journey continues to captivate us. His impact on Europe and the world is undeniable, shaping maps, governments, and history. Napoleon's military campaigns, characterized by innovative tactics, left a trail of both triumph and devastation. His legal reforms, codified in the Napoleonic Code, continue to influence legal systems globally. Despite his ultimate downfall and exile, Napoleon's impact on the world stage is undeniable. His story serves as a cautionary tale of the intoxicating allure of power and the devastating consequences of unchecked ambition. Why does Napoleon Bonaparte continue to hold such sway over our collective imagination? Perhaps it is the sheer scale of his achievements, rising from obscurity to conquer much of Europe. Or maybe it is the complexity of his character, a blend of military genius, ruthless ambition, and a surprising capacity for love and loyalty. His story, full of dramatic twists and turns, reads like a Shakespearean tragedy, complete with a tragic flaw that ultimately leads to his downfall. By studying his rise and fall, we gain a deeper understanding of the forces that shaped the modern world. His life, a tapestry woven from triumph and tragedy, continues to fascinate, inspire, and serve as a cautionary tale for generations to come. On the rugged island of Corsica, a child of destiny was born, Napoleon Bonaparte. Born in 1769, Napoleon entered a world on the cusp of profound change. His family, while of noble lineage, was not wealthy. His father, Carlo Bonaparte, secured for Napoleon a scholarship to study in mainland France. At the age of 9, Napoleon bid farewell to Corsica and enrolled in the military academy at Brienne-le-Château. He excelled in mathematics, history, and military strategy, despite being an outsider among the aristocratic student body.
Little did anyone know that this young, ambitious cadet from a remote island would one day reshape the map of Europe.
Napoleon's military career began amidst the chaos of the French Revolution. In 1789, as the Bastille fell, Napoleon, now a young artillery officer, witnessed the power of revolution.
In 1793, at the age of 24, I played a pivotal role in retaking the port of Toulon from British forces. This victory catapulted me to national prominence and earned me the rank of Brigadier General.
Napoleon's strategic brilliance and ability to inspire his troops made him a formidable military leader. He led successful campaigns in Italy, crushing Austrian forces and expanding French territory. With each victory, Napoleon's fame grew, and he became a national hero, admired for his courage and tactical genius. The French Revolution, a period of radical social and political upheaval, provided the backdrop for Napoleon's rise. France, once a bastion of absolute monarchy, was in the throes of change.
The First French Republic, established in 1792, struggled to maintain control. Internal divisions and external threats from monarchist powers threatened to tear the fledgling nation apart.
The French people, weary of revolution, saw in Napoleon a strong leader capable of restoring peace and prosperity. His military victories abroad fueled his popularity at home. Napoleon's first major test as a military leader came with the Italian campaign of 1796.
The Austrian army was larger and better equipped, but I saw an opportunity to make my mark.
With characteristic audacity, he launched a series of lightning-fast attacks, outmaneuvering his opponents.
The Italian campaign was a resounding success. We had secured France's southern border and conquered much of northern Italy.
His victories in Italy sent shockwaves across Europe. Monarchies trembled at the might of the French Republic, now led by a general of unparalleled skill and ambition. Napoleon had arrived on the world stage. Flush with victory in Italy, Napoleon turned his attention eastward, embarking on a daring expedition to Egypt in 1798.
The Egyptian campaign, however, proved to be a double-edged sword.
The British Navy, under Admiral Horatio Nelson, destroyed the French fleet at the Battle of the Nile, stranding Napoleon's army in Egypt. Despite this setback, Napoleon continued to campaign in Egypt and Syria, achieving notable victory.
Faced with mounting losses, I made the controversial decision to abandon my army in Egypt and return to France.
The Egyptian campaign, though a military failure, ignited Napoleon's fascination with ancient Egypt and sparked a wave of Egyptomania in Europe. Section 3. Master of the battlefield, Napoleon's military genius. Napoleon's military genius lay in his unique combination of strategic brilliance, tactical flexibility, and an uncanny ability to inspire his troops.
I was a master of maneuver warfare, employing speed, surprise, and decisive action to overwhelm my opponents.
Napoleon instilled in his soldiers a belief in their own invincibility, forging a bond of loyalty and trust. One of his key innovations was the corps system, which divided his army into independent units capable of operating autonomously. This allowed for greater flexibility and speed on the battlefield, as well as the ability to exploit enemy weaknesses. Section 1. The Price of Glory: Life for the French Citizenry. While Napoleon's military triumphs painted a picture of glory, life for the average citizen in Napoleonic France was a far cry from the romantic image.
The relentless wars took a heavy toll on the French people. The constant demand for soldiers and resources led to widespread conscription and economic hardship. Families bid farewell to sons, husbands, and fathers, uncertain if they would ever return. The fields lay fallow as manpower dwindled, and food shortages became commonplace. Despite the hardships, a sense of national pride and fervent patriotism swept through France.
Section 2. Instruments of War: The Soldiers of the Grande Armée. The soldiers of Napoleon's Grande Armée were both the instruments of his ambition and the victims of its relentless pursuit.
Life in the Grande Armée was a grueling cycle of marches, battles, and deprivation. We were often ill-equipped and poorly fed, trudging for miles in all weather.
Disease was rampant, claiming more lives than combat in many campaigns. Yet, despite the hardships, the soldiers of the Grande Armée were renowned for their fighting spirit and their unwavering loyalty to Napoleon.
We saw him as a leader who shared our dangers, a general who led from the front and inspired us to achieve extraordinary feats of valor.
Section 3. A Continent in Flames: The Human Cost of Napoleon's Ambition. Napoleon's ambition, while forging an empire, came at a staggering human cost. The Napoleonic Wars, spanning over a decade, engulfed Europe in a conflagration that claimed millions of lives.
The human toll extended far beyond the battlefield. Cities and towns caught in the crossfire of war were besieged, bombarded, and occupied.
The Napoleonic Wars left an enduring legacy of trauma and loss across Europe. Families were shattered, economies were ruined, and the social fabric of nations was torn apart. Section 1. Instruments of Death: Warfare in the Age of Napoleon. The 18th century, the age of enlightenment and reason, was also an age of brutal warfare. Warfare in Napoleon's era was a far cry from the surgical strikes and technological sophistication of modern combat. It was a visceral, up-close and personal affair where victory was often determined by sheer grit, discipline, and the willingness to endure unimaginable suffering. The smoothbore muskets, the standard infantry weapon of the day, were notoriously inaccurate, effective only at close range. Section 2. The Dance of Death: Tactics and Strategies of 18th Century Warfare. Military tactics in the late 18th century were evolving rapidly, moving towards greater flexibility and maneuverability. Napoleon Bonaparte, a master tactician, played a pivotal role in this evolution, employing innovative strategies that emphasized speed, surprise, and decisive action. He understood the importance of terrain, using hills, rivers, and forests to his advantage, and he excelled at outmaneuvering his opponents. One of Napoleon's signature maneuvers was the central position, where he would divide his forces, engage the enemy on multiple fronts, and then concentrate his troops at a critical point to achieve a decisive breakthrough. Section 3. A Symphony of Destruction, the brutal reality of frontline combat. To truly comprehend the horrors of Napoleonic warfare, one must step onto the battlefield amidst the deafening roar of cannons and the heart-wrenching cries of the wounded.
Imagine standing shoulder to shoulder with your comrades, the ground trembling beneath your feet as enemy artillery rains down.
Then the order rings out, and you charge forward, a human wave crashing against the enemy lines. Musket fire rips through the air, each shot a messenger of death. Men fall around you, their bodies torn apart by musket balls and shrapnel. The stench of blood and gunpowder fills your nostrils, a sickening reminder of the human cost of war. By 1812, Napoleon Bonaparte, the seemingly invincible conqueror, had reached the zenith of his power. His empire spanned much of Europe, his armies seemingly unstoppable, yet beneath the veneer of invincibility, cracks were beginning to show. The seeds of Napoleon's downfall were sown in the vast expanse of Russia.
My invasion of Russia in 1812 was a catastrophic gamble. The Russian winter, a formidable foe, decimated the Grande Armée, turning a triumphant advance into a desperate retreat.
Napoleon's disastrous Russian campaign emboldened his enemies. Great Britain, under the astute leadership of Prime Minister William Pitt the Younger, had remained a steadfast opponent, financing Napoleon's enemies and maintaining naval superiority. The Duke of Wellington, a brilliant British general, had inflicted a series of defeats on French forces in the Iberian Peninsula, further weakening Napoleon's hold on Europe.
As my armies faltered, nationalist sentiments surged throughout Europe. The people, weary of war and French domination, rose up in rebellion, eager to reclaim their independence.
The tide had turned against Napoleon. His empire, built on military might and fueled by relentless ambition, was crumbling. The fate of Europe and of Napoleon Bonaparte's empire hung in the balance on a fateful summer day in 1815. Near the small Belgian town of Waterloo, two of the greatest military minds of the age clashed in a battle that would decide the destiny of nations.
On one side stood Napoleon, the Emperor of the French, his reputation as a military genius preceding him. He commanded a battle-hardened army, eager to reclaim the glory of past victories.
On the other side stood Arthur Wellesley, the Duke of Wellington, a meticulous planner and a master tactician, leading an Anglo-Allied army composed of British, Dutch, Belgian, and German troops. The Battle of Waterloo was a brutal, back-and-forth affair, a symphony of destruction orchestrated by cannons, muskets, and cavalry charges.
Napoleon's forces launched a series of furious attacks, seeking to break the Allied lines and drive my army from the field. However, I had chosen my ground well, positioning my troops on the reverse slope of a ridge, shielding them from French artillery fire.
The British infantry, formed in disciplined squares, withstood wave after wave of French attacks, their muskets and bayonets taking a heavy toll on the advancing enemy. Napoleon Bonaparte, twice Emperor of the French, spent his final days as a prisoner of war on St. Helena. His defeat at Waterloo marked the end of his empire and dreams of European domination.
The Congress of Vienna sought to restore order and redraw Europe's boundaries. My legacy proved more enduring than my empire.
His military campaigns revolutionized warfare, shaping military thinking for centuries. The Napoleonic Code became a model for legal codes throughout Europe and beyond. From Napoleon's battlefields to our digital age, the world has transformed dramatically. The clash of empires and the struggle for power resonate even today. Yet the contrast between Napoleon's era and our own are stark. Today, technology connects us instantly and transforms our lives. Medical advancements have eradicated diseases and extended lifespans. Modern warfare now includes precision strikes and cyber warfare. Yet the human cost of conflict remains a timeless truth.